welcome to you wherever it is you're joining us from around the world. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. Today we'll be starting off, of course, like we usually do, with our newspaper headlines, and right after that, in a jiffy, would be our main conversation also for today. But please do well to be part of what we say. Have a say in what we do right here. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. We're very honored to have with us right here in our studios Mr. Taiwo, and also Taiwo and Mr. Innocent Aduluba. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for being here.
Pleasure to be
really
here.
do appreciate you both.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's, of course, start off today with the first newspaper on our desk, and that is the Guardian newspaper. We have the big story here. Council autonomy funding. AGF EFCC talk tough for caution government, local government bosses on treason or fraud. And also on the bottom strip here, Nigeria secures 1.6 billion naira AI investment from Microsoft. Ababio meets Tinubu as Senate summons intelligence chiefs over USAID terrorism claims. But our talking point for today from the newspaper is federal government slams Binance with fresh $81.5 billion suit over economic sabotage. I'd love to start with you, Mr. Taiwo, on this particular matter. We all remember the off the mic, saga between Ababio and some parliamentarians. Yes, so which means there is an existence of collect, give, and collect, isn't it? Now, we equally, our mind goes to Farouk Lawal and Otedola, $500,000. So it is not new, right? The Binance man is saying that the parliamentarians actually asked for $150 million so they could allow him leave. And right now, the parliamentarians are denying that. Nigeria is suing Binance for that. Who do we believe in this particular scenario?
The peculiarity of our problem as a nation is yet unknown. The problem of bribery and corruption, the problem of embezzlement, the problem of mismanagement, the problem of insecurity, the problem of integrity gap, the problem of economic mismanagement and diversion. So what does that mean? There's poverty in the land. And in the development sector, we see Nigeria as what we call multi-dimensional poverty. But beyond that multi-dimensional poverty, we have another subsectoral poverty, which is called the poverty of the mind. A poor man with poor mindsets and enter into power, like Erufai said, accidental public servant, is still poor. Even though he's not a billionaire as a senator, he's still a poor man. So it is not far-fetched that a poor man in the local government as a councillor will remain a poor man as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as a result of his what? The poor state of his mind in terms of economic activities and economic achievements. Farouk Lawan was seen, obviously, to what? To have his cap being covered with what? Some dollars. All right? We also saw what happened to some governors. The man that called himself Ganduje, but they gave him a new name, Gandola.
Yes.
All right? So we also saw what transpired. Now, let me give you a typical example. While I was doing some projects in the city of Abuja, I had a friend of mine who works with the Ministry of Education. All right. So that particular year, talking about 2012, 2013, they were to defend the ministerial budget at the Senate. So the young man came to me and said, "Oh, my friend, you are here. Oh, please, hold on. Let me prepare some meat pie for the parliamentarians while we go defend our budgets." I'm talking about Ministry of Education, to be precise. All right? As that year. Yes. So, after they finish, they package all the meat pie. So, I was excited hearing meat pie that, okay, when they finish, maybe one way or the other, either it's meat pie or chicken pie, we also be extended to me in the conference room before they go for the budget defense. So I asked my friend, what's happening? After you have packaged the meat pie, please, there should be some leftovers for me or for us as guests. Oh, he said, oh, what kind of meat pie are you talking about? He said, oh, you don't understand what I mean. Oh, I didn't say, I'm not saying the normal meat pie from the restaurant. That's what I mean. I mean, I have to get some polythene bag to package some 5 million and some 10 million for the parliamentarian so that our budget and our figures can be seamlessly passed. Then, at that point, I got angry as a Nigerian. I said, how did we get to this point?
So you got angry for the fact that you didn't know you were even involved in making it possible for meat pie to go around.
To go around. So because I was naive, I do not understand the meaning of meat pie for an average parliamentarian. I never knew that meat pie means 5 million naira inside polythene bag. You can imagine what is the economic value of 5 million as at 2012, as at 2013. How did we get to this point? What is the quality of the mind of an average parliamentarian? The Binance executives are having some allegation against our senators and House of Rep members. Whether it is true, whether it is not true, the obvious is clear to everyone that the poor mindset from the local government still follows our senators and reps members to Abuja, even though they are now multimillionaires. That poor mindset of economic activities, channeling resources, even distribution of wealth is not yet part of their activities. Maximizing general opportunity for personal gain is still their mindset. So that is why I call them poor senators, poor House of Rep members, even though they are multimillionaires. Yet, for me, as of today, they are still poor men.
Very true. Innocent Aduluba, this brings me to, issues that we've had in the past. It was so disheartening to watch and see on our newspapers that, yes, some wicked FCT minister actually made appropriation about 10 billion naira to 4 senators to cater for their house rent. And so on. And this is people. Akpabio has been 2-term governor of Akwa Ibom State, one of the richest states in Nigeria. He's been a senator since then, but still he could accept 10 billion as rent and all. Now, speaking to the issue of the bribery scandal, do you really think, from what you have seen so far, that there could be an unwritten truth that the parliamentarians are not trying to let Nigerians know?
Thank you. The media has been awash with all of this, so I'm looking at the Punch, which says that in all of this saga, there was an affidavit deposed to by Jimadu Yusuf, a member of the Special Investigation Team from the Office of the National Security Advisor. And they say in that affidavit that Binance has been operating in Nigeria for over 6 years without registration. That's the Punch. And in all of this, this was during a 2024 meeting with the Security and Exchange Commission. So I don't know who. There is Corporate Affairs Commission, the Security and Exchange Commission. How can Binance have been here 6 years? A money spinning venture without registration, without somebody abetting or covering. And it is not anybody near people like me and you. I don't think we can do that in our dream. So they will say no smoke without fire, no fire without smoke. But in all of this, these are what we can call powers in high places. I don't think it's a business can come into Nigeria, be that prominent, run adverts on TV that we see day in, day out, top expensive adverts, and nobody noticed that in 6 years they were not registered.
But I hope this is not a Trojan horse, because we are trying to cover up the said allegation here. Remember, the issue here is the bribery. $150 million Binance had said He has been incarcerated here. He has met lots of people in the course of that incarceration. And he said it explicitly that parliamentarians are demanded for $150 million. And now the government is rather coming, in reverse to say they are suing them for 81 billion.
Well,
does that make any sense?
Despite the figures, there were two executives from Binance and Jarwala and the second name Gambarian.
Yes.
Both of them admitting that Binance has 386,256 active Nigerians on their platform. They have a standing trading volume of $21.6 billion. They have a net revenue of $35.4 million in 2023. Yet, that affidavit is accusing Binance of operating without the required licenses and permits, and non-compliance with the Nigerian Money Laundering Act. So, why I'm reading this is, these are well-researched and investigated reports by the Punch newspaper. And all the people these are government parastatals, agencies, who should know duly what should not be. At this level of ours, with due respect, you and I cannot open a business name or a business venture without the due CAC, without the compliances and all of that. So I've been rather dwelling on the reports from the media, this Punch medium. But Nigeria is a land of political miracles and mysteries. So after this one now, you just keep, it's an episode of one day. I don't know that book we use in the second 1 week, one trouble. What the new trouble makes the old memory fade. Unresolved, we jump onto the new story, and even this story, hot as it is, will soon get cold. We don't know if there are deliberate people who spin episodes for us to forget the old, So, but in all of this, I, as a Nigerian, I don't know, I'm not interested.
You're not interested?
Yes, I'm interested in, is this our biggest worry? You understand? Is this our biggest worry? Do you know what it is for people to feed at this time? A lot of household business places have been, with regards to electricity, energy, graded as band A, and the supplies presently, if you ask me, band G, but the bill remains a band. So the representatives, either House of Reps, Federal or House Senate or State House Assembly people, are elected to represent interests of their constituents. Are these the biggest needs of their constituents at this time? Yes, it is not good to look at a corrupt allegation and turn the other eye. But since the inception of this government, with whatever policies they are doing, and us be patient to adapt, have a representative raised something that is an urgent need in their constituency? Because these monies, you've mentioned an amount, the Senate or whoever have mentioned another amount, less the big amount. None of this money will fall to the ground. It will just hang there. And like I'm telling you, in a matter of time, another episode will turn up. Nigerians wouldn't even know where and how this ended.
Yes, of course.
It's appalling.
Yes, very appalling. Speaking of recency bias, where we forget about the old and focus on the new. Workers in 109 embassies are grown over 6 months on paid salaries. Ministry promises to clear arrears. Ex-envoy kicks. It's so embarrassing, actually, Mr. Taiwo, that 109 embassies, Nigerian-owned embassies in different countries around the world, are owing their staffs 6 months of unpaid salaries. A media professional actually did a testimonial in New York, right? That about, it should be like the 24th floor, it had no AC working right there. And it's so embarrassing that people who come there to take care of passports and all would come down sweating, And it's so embarrassing. So speak to us. Unfortunately, since the coming of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there's no ambassadors appointed yet. Speak to us.
They're working on it.
What do you think is a problem?
Like I said earlier on, the color of the problem of Nigeria is yet unknown. We don't know the color of our problem. High commissions of Nigeria, different countries, owing salaries. What are the three factors that we can look at that are involved? We talk about the inflation, talk about the naira devaluation, right? These are things that will affect different sectors, including our high commission outside the country. Lest I forget what is happening to our foreign reserves and what is happening to the income of an average high commission to Nigeria. So what does that mean? Every day, $100 is leaving the pocket of an average Nigerian to the US Embassy. All right? Visa fee.
Yeah.
Visa application fee. You can go 3 times.
Non-refundable.
Non-refundable. All right? How come we're not hearing that the staffs of America are being denied of their salary? What does that mean?
Sorry,
What does that mean?
That visa thing, the countries we apply to are richer than us. So if 100 people apply for visa and you took 15, but you collected complete money of the other 85 people and returned them, is that not deprivation? If you reject me, I haven't met your full. Why not do a rebate since I didn't qualify? So I have something to take back.
Yeah, I can't do a rebate because it's a business. It's a business.
That rich country is doing business with people from poor countries.
It's a business. There's no charity in embassy. Embassies are not developed or created because of charity. It's not a charity organization.
I'm saying, sorry, we are digressing. I'm saying they can be rated those whose visa go through. You know, that's your full payment.
Well, that's why it's not my challenge.
It's not my challenge.
Actually.
That's why the caveat has been put.
You read it.
No, the caveat has been put. Live and work in a rented apartment. So what does that mean? You and I, we are the landlord to all those embassies. Our billionaires, our businessmen, including top government officials, they are the what? Landlord and landladies to all these embassies. And that the embassies in Nigeria, they are paying their house rent in dollars.
Can there be a policy that any embassy coming should have their own building?
That's another conversation entirely. But for now, as of today, it's a business. But the angle we are not looking at is that the same business that an average UK High Commission is having in Nigeria embassy in US, in UK, in Netherlands is not having such or the same standard of business structure in codes.
For sustainability.
For sustainability. Don't forget, the visa to Nigeria from any part of the world is, I was told, it's one of the most expensive visa in the entire world. And at the same time, we are now owing salary. Is that not an irony? Unexplainable, a complicated irony.
Political mystery.
It's an irony that we are one of the people that charge the most expensive visa application fee in the world. Yet, we cannot pay the salary of an average staff in our embassies and high commissions. It's an unexplainable economic irony. So, what does that mean? That means that there are business gaps. There are structural gaps within the framework of those high commissions and embassies. So, for instance, if I'm to get or renew my passport in the Nigerian embassy in UK, it's possible that the official rate might be $3. But that high commission over there will charge $10. So $7 is going to the pocket of an individual. $3 is coming to the Nigerian pocket. That's where the problem is. That is the real truth that nobody is talking about. So, in fact, I am surprised that the staff are now speaking up. The staff should be part of the culprits of this particular economic mismanagement that we're talking about. This particular equation. How come they are charging so much and they are not getting salary? All the charges, can they give us the balance sheet of each embassy, of each High Commission of Nigeria in any part of the world? What is their revenue in the last 6 years? And what have they done with those revenue? I was told that some High Commission of Nigeria in some country do not have lights. Like the Gen Z will say, no be juju be that.
Very, very true. If Elon Musk were to be a Nigerian and is in charge of Dodge, like he's doing with America, efficiency, ensuring that there's efficiency, one would have thought that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu actually employed someone to ensure that there is efficiency, but clearly there is none. So one would wonder why President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made it very difficult to even appoint ambassadors.
Well, thank you, Henry. First of all, we run an enlarged ministerial appointment system where there are duplications of offices. There's a Minister of Education, there's a Minister of State for Education, or all of that across board, possibly for the appointments to go around. So in that case, there is a situation of the sacrifice of credibility. So you have mediocrity sitting on the altar, where credibility is sacrificed. So that's one. Two, the president, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, well into its second year, I think May 2023, May 29, we've had a May in 2024, we are about 2-3 months. So that, by approximation, is already a 2-year tenure. He's still contemplating the appointments of these ambassadors. And I would still make bold to tell you, each appointment will be a compensation.
So transactionary.
It's a compensation of your solidarity support or solidarity reference.
An allegiance.
By someone in the party. And the spokesperson at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kimiebi Ebienfa, has acknowledged this, because the report from Punch again says 409 officers from 450 service officers from 109 embassies. Kimiebi has said, the embassy is working to, the ministry is aware and is working hard, but the report says as things stand, that's where we cannot just use one brush to paint everybody. It may not be entirely the blame of all staff at those embassies. Depending on what desk, what stratification you are placed, you could think a particular ministry is corrupt, but not everybody fall within the cadre of mitigating efficiency. Efficiency stops somewhere and corruption begins.
Right.
And most times, it's usually at the top. And as we speak, the report also says, that's why I say not all of them, that these people living abroad are now struggling with children's school fees, house rent, other basics. So I would say here that those who know will tell, there are consulates, there are regions for an ambassador. My lecturer back then in UNILAG, Professor Alaba Ogunsonwo, told us that he was the ambassador at the time to South Africa and Botswana. So if these embassies, like you have said, don't have a plan of sustainability, look at the country from here to Accra is approximately the same distance from here to Asaba, not Abuja. But because of international checks, you think the journey is too far. So in this short distance, we have ambassador to Togo, we have ambassador to Benin Republic, we have ambassador to Ghana. And just after Ghana is Cote d'Ivoire, another prominent francophone West African neighbor. So maybe the government can have one man, Henry Igwebike, as ambassador to Ghana. And then Benin and Togo, in quote, attached under his authority, so to speak, so that it looks the way you have a minister and then maybe a DG. The DG is no longer another minister. That person runs the bureaucracy well. They all report to you and you give a global report. So that we don't have just embassies all across lacking sustainability and viability, and making Nigeria an international global laughingstock.
All right, so just before we leave, let's take a look at Daily Trust newspaper. On the bottom strip here, Senate summons NSA, DSS, NIA over USAID Terrorism Funding Allegation. Aid agency offices have no business in Nigeria. It's found to be true, and if found to be true, that is, that's coming from Akpabio. Mr. Taiwo, let's take a look at this thing. The U.S. Embassy in Nigeria has come up to say that it's false that the USAID sponsors terrorism, and Boko Haram particularly. Like we've often said, how would it look like really that an agency that's there to provide food and shelter is at the same time sponsoring terrorism that kills those they've provided food and shelter for? Does it really make sense in any way?
All right. So when we talk about aid, grant, and what have you, don't ever forget, there's nothing free in any part of the world, not even in Freetown. Nothing is free anywhere. While I was in the north, briefly for 2 to 3 years, I once met a man who told me, whatever any man gives you, he's expecting a return. No man gives you anything without a return. There's no charity anywhere in the world. The real charity has something behind the charity.
So are you ironically saying that USAID is complicit?
Now, for an average American government, you must understand that there are underlying economic benefits to their foreign aid and grants to any part of the world. And that is why whenever there is misallegiance from any part of the world, what happens? It's either they cut off the grant, or they reduce it, or they rechannel it to another country entirely. So what does that mean? There are underlying factor or reason for every grant or aid. Even it's why I'm positively, it's part of what I did in the university, talking about the benefit of international organizations in different parts of the world.
So what are you directly saying?
Now,
because
what I'm saying is that
yes.
no man gives you anything without expecting anything.
Okay.
China recently is romancing Nigeria. It's romancing the entire Africa. We saw the billions they've released to Africa. There's a reason for that. It's not just to give you to develop you. No man wants you to be as big as he is. No country is developing you so that you can become, like we see what happened to Walter Rodney, how Europe underdeveloped Africa. Now the question is it Europe that underdeveloped Africa, or is it Africa that underdeveloped itself, or is it that Europe deliberately underdeveloped Africa through Africa ban Africa as a result of foreign aid and grants? America is to be questioned in this direction. But
right.
how you question them will be determined by your own supportive mechanism in their own ideology also. So, in as much as you want to question them, be ready to also open up your own channel and see why you were signing those treaties. Were you actually intentional, sincere? Don't forget the PNID issue. Look at the documentation. When somebody came up under Buhari and said, when they studied that particular business documentation, they discovered that that business was already dead on arrival. And the Nigerian leaders knew that this is a dead business on arrival, indirectly to sabotage the economic activities of Nigeria. So don't forget, in all of this, my submission is that the gods, as at now, are not to be blamed.
This is a hydra-headed issue. Innocent, I'd love you to combine that, your submission, to, of course, the same thing, no charity anywhere. The question of visa denial. Nigeria won't tolerate disrespect from any country coming from the CDS. Remember the Invictus game that Christopher Musa was denied visa. And of course, they're blowing hot right now. Of course, this is equally just like what you said. They're giving out something, but this time around, they refused to give in us, and we are annoyed at the same time. So speak to us.
Well, General Christopher Musa is a recognized global personality what's the name of that thing? I think it should be carried on a green passport. What's that color of passport the diplomats carry now?
Yeah.
So, yes, the Canadian government are right to their policies. But I would think that it is indeed disrespectful to deny such a high-ranking person visa.
This is disrespectful.
It is.
Even when it was stated he didn't go through, lots of things weren't
where there are gaps
Yeah.
in administrative processes, we can give credit to the Canadian embassy. But if all processes were satisfied, I would say it is disrespectful to such a global or recognized governmental personality. But there is an answer given us by that picture, that statesman, Nuhu Ribadu, that the answer is, why don't we fix Nigeria? Canada is fixed. That's why people are rushing there. Why don't they? Once upon a time, the Obafemi Awolowo University, the University of Nigeria and Nsukka, University of Nigeria and Nsukka played host to eminent people like Nelson Mandela. I don't even have the list for the Ife. At the time we were fixed.
College Ibadan.
So it's you position yourself with value. Let people come to you. The Bible will say wisdom sits at the gate. And the gate, the emblem of the gate is, it is a mandatory passageway.
Absolutely.
So wisdom sits at the gate. Is Nigeria within this analysis wise? What gate are we sitting at? Who is passing through our gates? So I don't want to dwell more. This is an international politics. Everybody, the same thing I tell people, I don't have any comment if President Trump wants to purge illegal migrants into America or not. You go to your country and purge your own. I don't have. But my position is, when there are gaps in the processing of General Musa's papers, Canada is correct. When there are no gaps, I think by the tenets of globalization, they owe that man access, free access. You know what globalization is. They're coming down to the aid thing. I told you backstage that it's a delicate. You kept asking what it's a delicate
Because he was actually being
it's a delicate
crafty, with it.
because as it is now, I told him that the world had gone unipolar with the United States of America at the global apex. So, there are, equity does not aid the indolent.
At all.
So there are maneuverings, and propaganda is right in politics. But you see, during the inaugural session of an advisory body created by President Donald Trump, the U.S. President, on spendings of these bodies, the USAID, that was where Mr. Perry, an American congressman, stated that USAID's annual budget is about $697 million. And it includes cash shipments to madrasas, it's an Islamic school. He named places, and then he included the Boko Haram, which is where that's what we can relate with. And within such resonance, I don't think that man standing in America as an American congressman have said something that is unfounded. You see, Nigeria is a beautiful bride that had changed herself. When you are beautiful, you have the liberty to select suitors. Yes, so we will say we are fighting Boko Haram. Oh, we don't have equipment. You cannot get from US. There are alternatives worldwide that you can access weapons superior to what the Boko Haram are using and quell that insurgency. I did sit here to say, if we know that China have good weapons, if we know that Germany have good weapons, if we know that Russia under Putin have good weapons, if we know that the Netherlands have good weapons, there are powers out there. Why wait for one place? And that's where his comment comes in dicey. That grant you get, you don't know the stringent conditionalities tied to them.
All right.
As one of my authors in Element of Politics will say, Ejiro Omonode, that there are stringent conditionalities. So these are, like I told you, the voice of Jacob and of Esau. This aid and grant, I will repeat. Have you heard that Switzerland are receiving aid from anybody? Or Germany? You know? So he who goes borrowing goes sorrowing.
Well, we can go on and on. This issue is not peculiar to us. Right now in Europe, they are faced with this very big problem of the United States, taking charge. Imagine that the United States had a sit down with Vladimir Putin and excluded Europe and Ukraine out of a deal that involved Ukraine. It's so very unfortunate, and this goes to what you talked about. When you give aid, you place conditions to it. United States over the years have given aids to countries, including the almighty Europe, and applied conditions to it that Europe right now are facing very big issue in getting themselves out of that mess and becoming independent.
It's in coming out of the war. The Secretary of State at the time, George Marshall, the famous Marshall Plan, had some of these things in place. I want to look at Putin's meeting with Trump's meeting with Putin as a series of steps. I don't think that forecloses anything. In this situation, if you put Ukraine versus Russia, Russia is the person you need to go and pacify. Possibly, I don't know, but in due course, other parties can be brought to the table.
But what's your take on that?
What's
your take on that particular matter? Because as it stands now, Ukraine is being taken away from the mix, and there are conditions attached. Ukraine must not belong to NATO. At the same time, no foot soldiers should be found in Ukraine, according to Russia. Speak to us in 60 seconds.
All right, but to be sincere, Ukraine is not being taken out, but not for now. They are not being taken out. That's just the truth part of the old drama. Yeah, Ukraine is not being taken out in the discussion, in the negotiation. They are not out of the negotiation. But as of today, you can't bring them on board onto that negotiation.
At this stage?
At this stage, no.
Even if they are being talked about, it's pivotal that they are part
yes, but they can't be on the table now. They can't. There are diplomatic processes involved, and which takes stage by stage by stage. And they are in process.
Well, I just sincerely hope that Donald Trump, of course, would keep to his word, because we all know Donald Trump is one person that acts somewhat on Monday and does another.
But I would like to tell you that Donald Trump, for me, for all, let me use that word, idiosyncrasies around him, is a global agent of peace.
All right, we hope that is true, and we hope it works though. So that's about the time we have. I'd love to say thank you so very much, Oluwa Taiwo, for being here. We truly do appreciate you once more. Always. Mr. Innocent Adoba, thank you as always.
Always a pleasure.
For making the picture complete. And of course, that's the time we have for our morning show newspaper as today. And when we return, federal government to bar 60,000 liters fuel tankers from road. March 2025. Let's have that conversation in a bit. Still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere.